Ogerpon is one of the new Pokémon introduced with the release of the Teal Mask DLC for Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. Ogerpon looks to be a promising Pokémon in Gen 9 competitive singles, especially with it having 4 different forms and a pretty good move pool, providing some versatility too. While the metagame is still fresh, Ogerpon definitely has a lot of potential in the metagame. So we'll be going over what makes Ogerpon great, and the different forms as well, and how it would probably be used in competitive singles. Ogerpon has pretty good stats. It is oriented as a fast physical attacker with a solid base attack stat of 120 and a great speed stat at base 110, while also having good bulk across the board. Ogerpon has 4 different forms which all share the same set distribution and the grass typing. However, these forms do have different abilities and an additional typing depending on what the mask they are wearing. Base Ogerpon is a pure grass type. The Wellspring Mask is a grass water type, the Heartflame Mask a grass fire type, and the Cornerstone Mask a grass rock type. The forms also share a signature move, this being Ivy Cudgel. Ivy Cudgel is a 100 base power, 100% accurate physical move that changes typing depending on the type of the mask the user is wearing, basically being an equivalent of the powerful Earthquake for every type, which Ogerpon can make good use of with a solid attack stat. This means that no matter the mask, Ogerpon will always have a solid secondary stab option. For grass stab, Ogerpon also has some great options like Power Whip and Wood Hammer, or even Horn Leech. Its coverage is not bad either, having access to Knockoff, Superpower, Play Rough and Stomping Tantrum being notable options. Ogerpon can increase its attack stat even further with Sword Stance 2, or provide momentum for the team with U-turn, giving it quite some options on offensive sets. Ogerpon's utility moves are not bad either, having access to Spike, Stomp, and even Synthesis. There are however some key differences between the forms that should be noted. A very important drawback of the other forms is that they are forced to hold the corresponding mask as a health item. For example, the Fire form is forced to hold the Heartflame Mask, meaning it cannot use other valuable items like Heavy Duty Boots to remove its crippling Stealth Rock weakness, or Choice Band to increase its immediate damage output. Only the base form of Ogerpon can use a health item. All of Ogerpon's forms also have a locked Terra type, being the corresponding typing that they gain when holding the mask. The base form is Terra Grass, while the Fire form for example would be locked to Terra Fire. Ogerpon's forms all have different abilities and they even gain another ability upon terrestrializing. Ogerpon's base form has the ability Defiant, which raises its attack by 2 stages when one of its stats is lowered. The most notable situations to take advantage of this are punishing default attempts from Pokemon like Corviknight and Mandibuzz, or punishing Intimidate users like Landorus D. However, Ogerpon matches up very poorly against the aforementioned defoggers, which are literally the only viable ones around. So all in all, this ability, while it isn't bad, is not the greatest. When terrestrializing, Ogerpon gains the ability Embody Aspect, which boosts its speed by 1 stage, and this effect does not go away when switching out. This makes Ogerpon one of the fastest Pokemon around, including common Choice Scarf users. However, Ogerpon heavily suffers from the lack of a secondary stab option to hit Grass Resist, with its best coverage being the aforementioned Knockoff, Superpower and Play Rough. Being locked to Terra Grass is also not ideal either. To be honest, I don't think this form will be very good in the OU tier at least, but it can definitely find its place in a lower tier. Ogerpon's Wellspring form has the ability Water Absorb, which makes it immune against water moves and heals it for 25% when hit by one. This makes it a solid counter against rain teams, especially as it can threaten water types with its grass stab and use the rain boost for itself. However, Water Absorb feels a little wasted on a Pokemon that is already 4 times resistant against water. Offensively, this Pokemon is much better than its base form. Water is an excellent offensive typing, and having a 100 base power move with no drawbacks is incredible. Not to mention that it can hit bulky water types with its strong grass coverage. Terra Water is also much better as a Terra type than Grass, and it boosts its water moves even further. When this form uses Terra, it also gains the ability Embody Aspect, but instead of a speed boost, it gains a special defense boost. This isn't bad, and there will definitely be cases where it can take on special attackers because of it, but it's not as good as a speed boost for sure. Grass and Dragon types are also a bit of a problem for this Pokemon, but it does have U-turn to hit Grass types super effective damage while gaining momentum, and it has Play Rough to hit the Dragon types. The base form has this too, but it doesn't have Water Step to hit Flying, Bug and Poison types for good damage, but overall this form has quite some potential. Ogerpon's Hard Flame form has the ability Mold Breaker, which allows it to ignore the abilities of other Pokemon when attacking. This is a great ability to break through unaware Pokemon, which is a very common way to stop setup sweepers. This allows Ogerpon to set up its Swords Dance and break through unaware walls like Dondozo. Fire is also a good offensive typing, allowing it to abuse IV Cudgel, while also not being walled by Flash Fire Heatran. When the Hard Flame form uses Terra, it will turn into a Fire type and gain a Body Aspect as its ability, which will boost its attack by 1 stage in this case. This makes it even stronger, but it does lose the ability to break through unaware Pokemon. This form can also threaten common Pokemon like Kingambit, Great Tusk, Goldengo and Amoonguss. This form does however have a notable problem, this being its weakness to Stealth Rock in a meta where removing hazards has never been more difficult, and it cannot use heavy duty boots. While defensively the typing might not be great, it's not that bad offensively, as most Pokemon cannot really switch into the combination of Grass Fire. Dragon types gets destroyed by Play Rough as we mentioned earlier, and Mold Breaker attacks through Flash Fire Heatran for example. However, on Swords Dance sets, it has to choose between either Play Rough or Knockoff, and it is also hard walled by Moltres no matter what it uses, but it can cripple it with Knockoff. I will say though that this Pokemon has a solid niche on Sun teams too, especially with those being very potent right now. Ogerpon has access to Solar Blade, which does not need a turn to charge when Sun is up, and IV Cudgel also gets boosted by Sun of course. However, Solar Blade isn't that much stronger than Wood Hammer and Power Whip, and it can be shut down if Sun is not up. Overall, this form does have a lot of potential when positioned correctly. The last form is Ogerpon's Cornerstone form. This form has the ability Sturdy, which prevents it from being 1-hit KO'd at full health. This is not particularly great as hazards are very prevalent, but it does have its uses, especially if you were to use it as a Spike Sleet. Though Meowscarada would be a better option for that in my opinion. The Rock form of course has that solid 100 base power Rock Step, with no drawbacks unlike any other rock move that exists like Stone Edge or Rock Slide for example, making this probably the greatest rock move in the game. Rock is a great offensive typing and it has the coverage to tackle ground and steel Pokemon. Grass Step can be used to take care of ground types like Great Tusk, and Superpower can be used as coverage to hit steel types like Kingambit. Rock is also a great supportive typing for Grass, as it can hit the flying and bug types that Grass struggles with. When the Cornerstone form uses Terra, it will gain a defense boost through Embody Aspect, which is a similar case to the Wellspring form. It's not bad and will help out in certain scenarios, but an attack or speed boost would be preferred. Overall, this seems like a Pokemon with some good potential. For my first impressions of these 4 forms, I would say that the Wellspring and Cornerstone form have the most potential out of the 4. These Pokemon are great offensively and don't have any weakness that stands out a lot. The Hard Flame form definitely has potential too, but its offensive typing is worse than the other 2, and its crippling Stealth Rock weakness is very significant as well. I can definitely see this being a good Pokemon in the UE tier though. As for the Teal Mask, aka the base form, I don't think it's that good and I would not recommend using it over the other forms. As for movesets, IV Cudgel and Wood Hammer or Power Whip should be staples on a set, while Swords Dance, U-Turn, Play Rough, Superpower and Knockoff are great options for the last 2 slots, depending on the form you are using. What do you think about Ogerpon and its different forms? What form do you think has the most potential in competitive singles? Let me know down below in the comments, and if you want to see more content like this, let me know by liking the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.